Alrighty, well, welcome back to the Mother-Daughter Disney podcast. I'm here with my amazing mother.
Like that introduction.
You want to say your name?
Janette.
Yeah. So we're here together. So we're here for another episode. I'm so excited for this episode because we're going to start a new little mini series here on the podcast where we're going to do a deep dive into all of the pavilions at Epcot. So, of course, I feel like in the episodes past, we've talked a lot about Epcot and the surrounding areas of Epcot. If you've been listening, and I hope you have been, we are big Epcot fans, big Epcot people. So, but yeah, we've been longtime lovers of Disney. Epcot is my favorite park. Which do you think it's your favorite park?
Well, yes, it's my favorite park to be in all day because it has so much to do and so much to see and relaxing and fun. And Animal Kingdom tends to be my more favorite park to see because I just love the feel of Animal Kingdom.
No, that makes a good point, though.
But I never spend a whole day in Animal Kingdom, so...
Yeah, but I'm so excited because I have done a lot of research notes for this podcast to go into this deep dive for the Italy Pavilion. I want to note that some of my sources include, and I will link all of my sources in the description as well, is Walt Disney World Info, Wikipedia. Honestly, Wikipedia had a lot of information, Yesterland, Wander Disney, and All Ears. So again, all of my sources will be linked in the description. And then some of this information I also just happen to know simply because I have been very fortunate to go to Italy in the past. So some of this I kind of just pulled from my memory from when I was in Italy. So yeah, so you ready to get started?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, we're recording in my parents' house right now, and my cat is also here. So if you hear her in the background, don't mind her. I think she's going to knock over an Easter decoration.
That's okay. She's going to knock over an Easter bunny. It's fine.
Yeah, but she can do what she wants. Yeah. So, all right. So yeah, and we're starting with the Italy Pavilion too, because again, if you listen to our restaurants episode, we both picked the restaurants in the Italy Pavilion as some of our top restaurants. My mom is fully Italian. So yeah, so I mean, Italian culture is very much part of our family. So so let's get started. All right, so the Italy Pavilion was one of the original pavilions that opened with Epcot on October 1st in 1982. If you're facing the World Showcase, it is the fifth pavilion from the left. So again, if you're facing the pavilion, Germany is to the left and America is to its right. There are multiple cities represented in Italy. The main cities are Venice, Rome, Florence, and Naples. So most of Italy is actually on northern Italy or central Italy, and there's not a lot from southern Italy really at all, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I thought southern Italy would be represented somewhere, but most of it is actually northern Italy.
I've not even realized
And even
that.
some of the areas is more from the Tuscany region, which is, Italy considers that to be central Italy, but that's actually, to me, it looks like northern Italy if you look at the map. So yeah, but definitely not from northern Italy and a lot from Venice. I would argue to say that the majority of the pavilion is Venice.
Yes, that's where you feel, especially when you on both sides of the walkway, because they have the boats out by the things and stuff. And Amanda did all this research. I'm kind of just here as
Yes, my mom is here, so I'm kind of telling my mom about this because I'm excited because some of this is really interesting. Mm-hmm. All right, so if we're walking up to the Italy Pavilion from, let's say, if you're facing the World Showcase when you first get to Epcot from the left side, so we're walking up from the Germany side. Mm-hmm. So you first see on your right side, if you turn to the right, is the Ponte della Paglia. Sorry, my cat is really trying to knock stuff over now.
Don't worry about her.
She's so interested in that bunny, though. It's so
yeah,
funny.
Of course. She's been here for a whole day, and now she's interested in it. Okay.
All right. So if you're walking up to the Italy Pavilion from Germany, on the right-hand side towards the lake of the World Showcase, you'll see the Ponte della Paglia. So this represents one of the Venetian bridges that you'd see in Venice. So again, if you're facing the pavilion, again, turn around. This is just a replica of what the Venetian bridges look like. And as well as you go into the water, you'll see the poles and you'll see some of the famous gondolas that you would also see in Venice. So you notice that all these gondolas are black. That is because in Venice, all the gondolas are black. So they were once colorful and ornate, but in the 17th century, a doge, which the doge at the time was basically the leader of Venice, enacted a law to eliminate competition between nobles. So all the fancy gondolas were all painted just simple black. But even if you go, I have been to Venice, I've been very fortunate to go to Venice. So if you do go to Venice, all the gondolas are black, but they are decorated with different, embellishments, usually gold, I would say. Yeah, most of it was gold, and the seats were usually red was the thing. So they were all black with red seats, red velvety seats, and then the gold embellishments. And they had different, Italian symbols on all of them as well. And the poles usually too are all different colors as well. So, all right. So now for facing the pavilion again, you can see St. Mark's Campanile, which is the 83-foot bell tower. That is, of course, a scaled down replica of the real bell tower in St. Mark's Square in Venice. So in Epcot, the bell tower is 83 feet tall, which is about 7.5 stories. And the real one is 323 feet tall, which is about almost 30 stories. So quite scaled down for sure, which is wild.
Still looks big while you're there, though.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, definitely is impressive to look at, especially when you're looking at the skyline of the World Showcase. I'm pretty sure that's one of the tallest structures of the World Showcase is the bell tower. And in real life, if you do go to Venice, there is an elevator, so you do not have to walk up all 30 stories to get to the top. You can just take the elevator that, shoots you right to the top. So again, back in Epcot, at the top of the bell tower does feature an angel replica of the Archangel Gabriel, complete with a gold leaf, which I really appreciate that because guests can't really see that angel at the top of the bell tower, nor the actual gold leaf, but they actually did copy that from the real bell tower in Venice.
They do pay attention to detail.
They do. And there is a replica of the Archangel Gabriel that's further into the pavilion that's on the right. All right, we're coming back now. My cat decides now while we're recording to be destructive. All right, so next up is the Doge's Palace. The Doge's Palace is the light pink and white building on the left side of the pavilion. This building is built in the traditional Venetian Gothic style of architecture, which Venetian Gothic style is actually influenced by many other different types of architectural styles, especially from I'm going to say this wrong, the Byzantine styles from Constantinople. Byzantine? Yeah, especially influenced from them since at the time they were doing a lot of trade and a lot of business with Constantinople. The real Doge's Palace in Venice was built in 1340, and at the time it is where the Doge, or the leader of Venice, before Venice was part of Italy of course, would live and rule. So in real life this building is massive. It is absolutely gigantic. As you can imagine, it's a palace, so it really is the size, of what you'd imagine like a large type of palace would be. And I have been to the Doge's Palace before, so if you go inside, there is an entire courtyard in the middle of the Doge's Palace. And again, this building, the Doge and his family would live here, as well as, conduct a lot of different politics meetings from people from all over of Europe. This building also features one of the largest rooms in Europe at the time. It's called the Chamber of Scrutinio. In 1532, it was decided that this chamber would also hold the electoral counting and would mark the rhythm of a lot of the Venetian politics that was going around. And again, at the top of this room, if you ever get to visit, features all the portraits of every Doge that Venice had ever had. The last Doge in Venice was Ludovico Manin, who abdicated in 1797 when Napoleon invaded for the first time. And it wasn't until 1866 that Venice joined with the rest of Italy. And after Venice joined with the rest of Italy, the Doge's Palace had then been turned into a museum and continues to be a major landmark in northern Italy. I believe they still use the Doge's Palace for some political meetings and things. They'll still have events at the Doge's Palace, but for the most part, it's a museum now. And inside the Doge's Palace in Epcot, it features Il Bel Cristallo and La Gemma Elegante, which are two gift shops. So from where the Doge used to live and work, now is two gift shops here in Epcot. And these gift shops feature an array of Italian goods, such as Italian perfumes, bags, clothing, and jewelry. Further back into the gift shop as well, you can also purchase authentic Venetian masks for the Carnevale di Venezia. And this is basically Venice's version of Mardi Gras, so it takes place, around the same time of Mardi Gras. And they also used to have a lot of the soccer gear as well in the store.
Right.
Yeah, so if you wanted to purchase because Italy's very big into soccer or football, as they would call.
And their jewelry, a lot of their jewelry is your Murano glass that you went to see while you were there.
Yeah, so Murano is basically like an island that's part of Venice, and they're famous for the Murano glass, of course. And so so they do have some of the Murano glass jewelry. Yeah, that's a good point. Mm-hmm. What else do they have that's there? I don't know.
Perfume, soccer, the Venetian mask, but the Murano jewelry is a big thing because all the earrings, all the necklaces, I remember, is all that little blown glass.
Yeah, for sure. And they do have also some of Epcot Italy stuff too, things with Minnie Mouse on it too. So it's not all just Italy stuff.
Right.
Minnie Mouse is also there too.
Yeah, they put a little bit of that in there, but that gift shop especially is mostly towards the Italian fare. We've bought pocketbooks there because they're beautiful. They're made of really good leather, very nice, very things that you don't find in any other store except in those because they're being imported from Italy.
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's a good gift store. All right, so now again, for facing the pavilion, you will see the columns of San Marco and San Teodoro. So these two columns are also located in Venice as well. So one is the column of the lion, which features a winged lion at the top. This was St. Mark's symbol, and St. Mark is one of the patron saints of Venice. He's actually, I don't want to say buried, but he is there in Venice if you go to the Basilica. And the winged lion was also the symbol of the Venetian Republic. So if you ever get to go to Venice, which I would highly recommend if you're ever able to, you will see lots of lions in Venice. Lions are everywhere because of St. Mark and because of the Venetian Republic. And again, the second column is of San Teodoro, and he is believed to be one of the first protectors of Venice. So these columns were originally the entrance to Venice. So it's a city, of course, on water. You would arrive in Venice on your little boat, or, it had to be a boat because they can't pull ships into the harbor there. So you arrive into Venice in your little boat, and you would see the magnificent Doge's Palace and these two large columns with these big symbols on top of them. And I believe the symbols, and if you go to Venice again, the actual statues that are on top have actually been since removed and are inside of one of the museums now because, just with water erosion and climate change and things like that, they were wearing away. So there's actually replicas in Venice now that's outside, but the true statues are still inside being protected and preserved. So the Venetians actually have a saying that many mothers will say to their children or their husbands when they're being naughty is that, I'll show you what time it is, or te faccia vedere mi che ora cos'è, which refers to when the convicted criminals in Venice would be executed for their crimes between these two columns. So between the two columns, if you're in Venice, you would look up and you would see the clock tower directly across from you. And that is so the convicted criminals would see their final hour before they were executed. And now it's considered to be bad luck to walk between the columns. So again, kind of just a little Venetian saying.
Right, which most people don't know because hundreds and thousands of people are walking between those columns every day.
Well, yes, but yeah, so many mothers will tell their children when they're being naughty, I'll show you what time it is, to say it's like, just to say you gotta stop being naughty.
Right.
So again, coming back out of, if you're standing in front of the pavilion, on the right side of the pavilion, you will see the Enoteca Castello Banfi, and this building's on the right side when you're facing the pavilion. The Enoteca is a wine shop, and it literally means wine repository. And the Castello Banfi is one of the largest wineries in Tuscany. So you actually can stay at the Castello Banfi Resort in Tuscany. It is about a 2-hour drive south of Florence or 3 hours north of Rome. And Tuscany is considered to be central Italy, but if you look at the map, it's more of like central northern Italy, for being honest. And Florence is the capital of Tuscany. And I mention this because the building itself doesn't actually look like Castello Banfi. It looks more like the traditional architecture that you would see in the region, such as in Florence. Right. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, a lot of from central and northern Italy rather than southern Italy. So if you're facing the building, sort of further down on the building to the right, there is a drinking fountain with some flowers that are usually in it. And above the fountain, the tiles read Alla Salute, which is a popular cheers type of saying. So if you're going to cheers your wine, such as you go into the Enoteca, you get some wine, and then you cheers your wine and you say Alla Salute, which literally translates to health. So you're saying to health to each other. On the side of the building, there's a sign that reads Via Benvenuti, which again literally translates to Welcome Street. But this is also how many street signs in Italy look. So there will actually be signs on the building themselves like this, rather than the signs that we have that are a bit more external from buildings, so to speak. And I believe also the KitKat location is located behind the Enoteca. So it's sort of hidden away back there. But if you're looking for the KitKat location, that's where it would be. So in the center of the pavilion, there is a circular stage type of area. And this mimics what a lot of common piazzas in Italy basically look like. So they're really just common areas for people to gather in. The Italy Pavilion does have a performer named Sergio. He's an Italian street performer who will come out. He'll do juggling. He'll do a mini show. He'll do like mime type of stuff in a little stage area. He's usually not in the stage area. Usually he's like right in front of it.
Right
which
in
I think
front
is
because
kind
he's
of funny.
catching attention because then he also takes in kids from the audience and different people to get involved in his act, right?
Yeah, so he's not always on the stage area itself. And during the Flower and Garden Festival, this area usually is lined with lots of different flowers and different fauna. And depending upon the year, sometimes you will see Lady and the Tramp. Sometimes their topiaries will be right on the stage area. Sometimes they'll be external to the pavilion. It depends where. But Lady and the Tramp are the two topiaries for this pavilion. Area is also a great place to get married. So I've seen lots of people mention that they get married in this area, especially on that little stage area. It's kind of set up for that. And the overall, just say this little stage area, if you think about it, is kind of empty. Like it's kind of just there. There's no seating in the middle of the area. There's really nothing particularly to do in this area.
Right. Mostly people just walking and coming and going.
Yeah, it's a good place to take photos and stuff like that. But again, because if you go along the side, like behind the Enoteca, there's a lot of seating. So there's like chairs, tables, umbrellas, you can sit in the shade. And then if you go even further behind there, there's like more of like a gardenish type of area. And when I looked at an old map, that gardenish area behind the Enoteca used to be a smoking section. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, those are all gone. Right.
Yeah, back in the day when you could smoke in the parks, now you're no longer able to smoke in the parks. There's smoking sections outside of the parks in the parking lots. Yeah, but back in the day, that was a smoking section. I thought that was interesting because now it's kind of nothing to a certain extent. Again, it's just extra seating, and it does get shady because you're right by like a wall of like trees.
Right.
And
so if you need a respite from the sun, Epcot, yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice. So. And again, if you're in that area too, you may catch the Fontana di Nettuno. There's actually a sign that says Fontana di Nettuno. So again, this is before you go to the restaurants. And so again, it's just on the right side. It's basically at the edge of like where Via Napoli would basically start. So this fountain is depicting the Roman god Neptune, and he's holding a trident and a conch shell next to two large fish that are next to him. These are technically dolphin fish, such as the dolphin fish on top of the dolphin resort, which is kind of interesting. So, all right, this is going to be quoted directly from Yesterland, and I'm quoting this because the Yesterland quoted from the Imagineering Field Guide to Epcot at Walt Disney World by Alex Wright. I do not have that book, if I'm being honest, so that's why I'm quoting within a quote here, because it's very interesting. Yeah, this is them talking about the Italian Baroque sculptor that inspired the Imagineers' sculpture and fountain. So the Fontana di Nettuno is intended to capture the spirit of the work of the prolific Renaissance sculptor, artist, and architect Gian Lorenzo Bernini, but is not based on any particular piece. So I thought that was very interesting because the piece itself, when you, for instance, some of the inspiration fountains were the Fontana di Trevi, the Fontana del Nettuno, and the Fontana del Tritone. And again, these three fountains were all sculpted by different people, but they are all in the Baroque style of sculpture that Bernini is credited for. And I thought that was interesting because most people would think that this fountain is just based on the Trevi Fountain in Rome, but it's not.
Because we've seen the Trevi Fountain in Rome in person, and when you look at it, that's the first thing you see, is that it looks just like the Trevi Fountain.
Yeah, so if you look at the Trevi Fountain versus the Fontana di Nettuno in Epcot, the statues are not the same.
Right, okay.
And they're not holding the same.
Next time.
Yeah, they're not holding the same items. For instance, I think the Trevi Fountain, he's only holding the trident, he's not holding the conch shell.
Oh, okay.
That's also because the conch shell comes from a different Roman god for the god of the ocean rather than the god of the sea. So they're kind of combining everything into one.
Lots of detail you would never know just by walking through.
So yeah, so they kind of, I mean, like, I'm sure in Italy, there's lots of fountains in Italy depicting different Roman gods, I'm sure.
Everywhere.
So kind of like that, they didn't just pick one, but I mean, like, if you look at it, it's pretty obvious that if you've ever seen the Trevi Fountain, I mean, like, obviously it's much smaller than the Trevi Fountain. It's like just one person.
Definitely.
Yeah, the Trevi Fountain has many different people. So there are a few different eateries here in the Italy Pavilion. The first, of course, is Tutto Italia. So this is along the right side of the pavilion. And I thought I'd just note here that between the Doge's Palace and Tutto Italia, there's a little bit of space between the buildings, and it's a very lovely little space. It features like a big staircase and looks very like Italian, and it's a great place to take photos in. So I just want to point that out. So Tutto Italia itself is decorated with murals, frescoes, and Carrara marble, which was a popular marble for buildings in Rome at the time. The menu features traditional Italian type dishes such as, pastas, lasagnas, things like that. There is indoor and outdoor seating, and they serve lunch and dinner. And again, currently there are no Disney dining plans being sold right now, but back in the day, it used to cost one table dining credit. But again, whatever the dining plans in the future look like, I guess we'll see. And you do need a reservation for Tutto Italia.
Yes.
You cannot get in this restaurant without a reservation. And again, this is my top restaurant for Disney World. I absolutely love Tutto Italia.
That pasta.
I would definitely recommend Tutto Italia any day. I think it's one of the best. So next to Tutto Italia, you have Tutto Gusto wine cellar. So again, this is attached to Tutto Italia and essentially is a selection of wine. And they have a smaller menu than Tutto Italia.
It used to be very separate. I think now it's all part of the same thing. You're not allowed to like go in there and order food as opposed to when it used to be where you can go in there and get like small plates.
Yeah, so there is no reservation still for them, so you can just walk in. However, obviously, because it's in a reservation, there can be very long waits for this area. And, again, people are kind of drinking, so it's not, I think, maybe not as fast sometimes as going out to dinner and then leaving afterwards, because people are sitting there enjoying wine, maybe ordering, a plate of cheese and meats or something like that. But there is Tutto Gusto wine cellar. And then, of course, in the back of the pavilion, there is Via Napoli. So Via Napoli is in the Florentine architecture and serves authentic Napolitan cuisine. So they have 3 wood-burning ovens named after the 3 active volcanoes in Italy. Do you remember what the volcanoes are called?
Etna, Vesuvio, and I can't remember the third.
Stromboli.
Okay.
Yes.
And could not remember the third.
No, for sure, yeah. And the wood-burning ovens are actually decorated as well to kind of look like,
the faces.
3.
Right.
Yeah, which is kind of fun to see. Mm-hmm. Inside of the restaurant, there is a long communal table in the center of the room. This table is actually built in Florence, and it features hand-painted tiles that are depicting different iconic monuments in Italy. So I thought that was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And then some other notable features of the restaurant are its high vaulted ceilings. It has all imported ceramics and blown glass, such as the Murano glass. Murano glass can also make chandeliers, so many of the chandeliers are imported from Murano itself. And there is abundance, again, of windows that, flood this area with a lot of natural light. So Via Napoli was one of my mom's favorites. So I forget which order came. But yeah,
I love the servers in there too. They're always very friendly.
Yeah, for
very,
sure.
very funny, very friendly, very talkative, like you're used to seeing, like when we went to Italy, how friendly all the servers were.
And Via Napoli also imports their water. It's actually imported from Pennsylvania because apparently water in Pennsylvania has the same softness as the water in Naples does.
Okay,
and
that's
so
something I didn't know.
so they import their water from elsewhere so that you get more authentic tasting, bread, because obviously water is very important in bread. That's why New York water is quite famous.
Yes, because New York bread is really good.
And the last eatery in the Italy Pavilion is La Gelateria Toscana. So this is a newer little thing that they've added recently, and it's located in the front of the pavilion, right to the right, and they serve gelati, sorbetti. They also have a lot of different Italian pastries like cannolis or zeppoles, and they also have a selection of beer, wine, and coffee. They can have quite the long line at night, like before the fireworks. So the line does move quickly, but there is a menu that's sort of to the side. So if you can't get up close, you're not sure if you want to go there, there is a menu to the side that you can look at to decide if you're going to get gelato or not. I will say I've had the gelato from here, and it is very good. Very, very good gelato. So I definitely would recommend it if you want that little ice cream fix. And also in the World Showcase is one of the few spots to get ice cream in a cup like that. There's really only France and Italy are the main two places. There's really no other places to get like a cup of ice cream.
Yeah, you can get ice cream bars and stuff.
Yeah, like you can get sweets, in every pavilion, of course, but to get a cup of ice cream, this is a great place to go to. And of course, gelato is amazing. So... All right, and then my last little tidbit for our deep dive was that there was supposed to be a phase 2 of the Italy Pavilion after it opened. And in phase 2, there was supposed to be, rather where Via Napoli is, there was a rumored ride that was going to be added to the pavilion and would have been a gondola dark ride that would have taken guests through the Roman ruins.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that would have been so cool.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, if they added a gondola dark ride, I'm like, that would have been amazing. Although those seats would be so small.
That line would be so long.
I know, right? It's like those
trying to load those boats. Yes.
I guess in a way the gondolas would look like the way the ride looks, the boat ride looks like in Norway. So it'd be a similar type of because the boats in Norway kind of look like gondolas to a certain extent.
Yes, they did, right.
Yeah, so I imagine it would look something like that. Yeah, I wish they would have done that because I think that would have been so cool if there was a ride in the Italy Pavilion. Because as of right now, there's no other entertainment shows or rides in Italy. No. It's just Sergio. He's the main.
Sergio's there, and if you want to go into the wine shop and drink.
Yeah, basically. So, but again, Italy Pavilion is one of our favorites to go to. So we always go there. We
don't mind spending time there.
Yeah, it's fun to sit there too. There's lots of benches outside of the Doge's Palace as well that we'd love to sit at. Yeah. At the real Doge's Palace, the arches are much higher and there are no benches. So I was kind of sad when I was in Venice that I didn't get to sit by the Doge's Palace. Yes. There's benches elsewhere in that area, but not like right by the Doge's Palace because it's so busy because there's the lines always long to get into the Doge's Palace, of course. The Doge's Palace and that whole area, of course, looks out over the lagoon in Italy the same way that in, the World Showcase, it looks over the World Showcase. So.
Well, also when we were talking about the gift shop, in the wine gift shop, they have housewares and T-shirts, and that has a little bit more of the taste of home.
Yeah, they've sort of updated that gift shop because before it was really just wine. And now they still serve wine, of course.
Right, so you can still buy bottles of wine and bring them home and do whatever.
But now they also sell like some plates, some like aprons, napkins, things like that.
Right, and that Italian like lemon, whole lemon motif and different pastas, things like that.
Yeah, so they definitely upgraded some of their areas a little bit, which is really great. And yeah, the Italy Pavilion, one of our favorites. So this was really fun to go into because a lot of the stuff I didn't know about the Italy Pavilion.
And like I said, they take so much detail that you miss it because you're so busy doing this, doing that, doing the other thing. Now that you stop to look and stop to figure it out, it does show you how much detail they really go into.
No, for sure. I have to buy one of those books too, like the Imagineering books, to see what else they've said about the different areas of the pavilion. And yeah, again, if you've been to the pavilion, I have missed anything, definitely let me know on Instagram, comment, send us an email or something like that, because I love to know all the other little details, because I think it's so fun to learn about the pavilions and learn where these buildings come from, where they are inspired from, just everything about them. Again, I just love Epcot. So yeah, I feel sad that we were robbed of that ride. I feel like there's still space if they wanted to do a ride.
They probably could if they really wanted to.
So if you're standing facing Via Napoli and you go all the way to the left of the building, there is like a little alcove where there's just like one bench. I kid you not, one bench. And it's in a little alcove next to it though. So in my head, that could be like the secret entrance to the gondola ride.
I think they have so many other things going right now that I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Yeah, probably not, but still would have been cool. So. Yeah. All right. Awesome. So that was our little deep dive into the Italy Pavilion. All right. Let's get into some Disney news now.
Okay.
All right, so by time this episode comes out especially, the annual passes are back. So if you have been waiting to buy your annual passes, DVC owners were able to purchase them on April 13th, but later this week on April 20th, they will be available to everyone. So there are going to be 4 annual passes available for people to purchase. We have the Disney Pixie Dust Pass, the Disney Pirate Pass, the Disney Sorcerer Pass, and the Disney Incredi Pass. So the Disney Pixie Dust Pass and the Disney Pirate Pass are for Florida residents only, and the Disney Sorcerer Pass is for Florida residents and DVC members only. And then the Disney Incredi Pass is for all guests, and there is no blackout dates with the Disney Incredi Pass. So that is basically the top tier pass that you can get. So if you've been waiting to get your annual pass, now is the time. Definitely go make sure you grab yourself the Pixie Dust, Pirate, Sorcerer, or Incredi Pass. Another little bit of Disney news is that a new line of Disney Munchlings are coming out. So those are those little plushies that look like the characters.
Things, yeah.
They also look like food. So the next line is going to be Street Food Fusion Disney Munchlings. So it will feature Minnie Mouse as a pepperoni pizza.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Pepperoni pizza and Parmesan cheese, I think it says. There is going to be a Pearl Mochi Beignet Sundae and with cereal sprinkles, a Dante Mexican hot chocolate and cinnamon, and I forget, there's a few others, of course. There's also a chip falafel pita pocket, a Dale falafel pita pocket, and a squirt concha bread ice cream sandwich. So lots of cute little things. And I think Orange Bird also has one as well. Yeah, so Orange Bird is also going to be featured as a Orange Bird citrus infused cupcake. So very cute if you're into the Munchlings. I know a lot of people are waiting for the Wishables to come back, and the Munchlings have basically taken over the Wishables. So kind of sad if you're a big Wishables fan, but I feel like they're very similar. It's basically the same thing as the Wishables, but
just
they
another
just look like
thing
food.
to say. Hurry up! You have to go get all of them.
Yeah, so I did. So I did get one of the Munchlings. I have the Baymax S'more Munchling, and I thought he was just so cute, the little s'more one. Like I still look at him every day. I'm like, oh, what a cute little s'more. It's like, and I love Baymax, from Big Hero 6, so that's great. All right, and the last little bit of Disney news. Again, this is a bit of a pre-recorded episode, so this came out a few weeks ago now, but it's still pretty relevant. So, is that there was recently the Star Wars celebration in Europe. So there was a lot of Star Wars news that came out of this. So the biggest news was that there is going to be a new Star Wars movie featuring our beloved Rey, which I'm so excited about. So Rey from our favorite character and all of the favorite characters from the sequels are all coming back. This new movie is going to be set 15 years after The Rise of Skywalker, so after the final movie of the main 9 movies, and will be featuring Rey rebuilding the Jedi Academy. So that will be really exciting. And then they also just kind of updated everyone on the Star Wars TV shows that are coming out. So the official teaser trailer for Ahsoka came out, which I'm very excited for. I love Ahsoka Tano. And they also had some more press for The Acolyte, Andor, and Skeleton Crew, which are 3 other shows, of course, for Star Wars. And the big thing, I love Andor as well, and I'm very excited for The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. So basically, I just love Star Wars. So my mom's not a big Star Wars fan,
No.
so
Know nothing about Star Wars. Don't want to know anything about Star Wars.
yeah. But the big thing was that movie, because I didn't think they were ever going to do another Skywalker type of line again. But if they're continuing on, I'm here for it, because I love Rey, love Daisy Ridley, so I'm excited for that. All right, and before we get to our Disney memory to close out the podcast, I thought a new mini segment of the podcast could be to do Disney birthdays. So I have looked up that this week, when, again, the podcast episode is coming out, I thought every week we could wish happy birthday to the different Disney characters. I don't know, just for fun. Just something I thought was interesting. Although then when I looked it up, there's like no birthdays in April.
Oh, okay.
It's like not that many birthdays are in April. So yeah, so this one isn't even this week. This one would have happened on Saturday last week. But Huey, Dewey, and Louie's birthday is on April 15th. And they first premiered in Disney on April 15th, 1938.
Oh, wow.
So, of
Okay.
course, these are the 3 nephews of Donald Duck.
1938.
So, of course,
Wow.
they would be 85 years old this year if they were
I
aged
thought
in
they
real
were
life.
younger than that. Okay.
Yep, no, 85 years old. Of course, they depict about 10 to 12 years old, the characters themselves. But yeah, April 15th. And it's actually disputed of when their actual birthday is. So if you just Google Huey, Dewey, and Louie's birthday, it says April 15th. But there is some conflicting information, because one of the cartoons once referenced the 3 boys as Leos, and a Leo birthday is in August. So, now their birthday's in April. And there's also something else conflicting that their birthday was in October. So, I don't know. Their birthdays are a bit conflicting, so they're a bit weird one to start
Right.
on, being like, happy birthday to Huey, Dewey, and
Uncle
Louie,
Louie,
if their
okay.
birthday is April 15th. But
Okay.
again, on the DisneyBirthdayFandom.com, it's April 15th. So that's what we're going with. All right, I feel bad you haven't talked at all, Mom, but my mom's going to be the main feature of next week's episode. So, all right, what is your Disney memory?
A Disney memory, I guess I'll do it of the Italian Pavilion. I remember when we went for your graduation, how we all were hanging out and we just took a picture on that bridge. of us and our friends that lived down in Florida, and Amanda's friend had been with us. Her best friend Shannon had been with us on the trip, and I remember that picture of just standing on that bridge, and we all just took this really great picture of all of us just hanging out and relaxing. And it was one of those times when you weren't running from one place to another; you were just enjoying the spot.
Yeah, for sure. No, that was a good memory too. All right, my memory comes from New Year's Eve that we went to Tutto Italia one year. It was just me, my mom, and my dad at the Tutto Italia on New Year's Eve. So this is very common for most restaurants on New Year's Eve, not even just in Disney, but they tend to do preset menus on New Year's Eve because, of course, the influx of people that they would need to serve, get food, get out, is just very high. So they do, more of that prefix menu just to speed things up a bit. So we went there. We went there for an early dinner because we were like, no, we're going to get it early. So we're not, there at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock with a big dinner rush or anything. So as we're sitting there, we order our food and, we order our appetizers and they come out, less than 2 minutes. So
it was like they went through a revolving door.
We were like, whoa, that was quick. It's like we didn't even finish saying what we wanted and suddenly it was coming out the door.
On our table.
So we're sitting there laughing.
It wasn't even good. It was dry. It was horrible.
Again, the prefixed menu, they got a lot going on in that kitchen.
They had them all lined up on a table, and just as he went in the door, he just picked it up, came right out, back out.
So we ordered dinner. My dad ordered a pork chop, and my dad said, if that pork chop doesn't take at least 20 minutes to cook, it is a pre-cooked pork chop. And yet, I think less than 10 minutes, that pork chop came out, my pasta came out.
It was horrible. Yeah, that night was not a good night.
Yeah, that night wasn't the best night at Tutto Italia, but we've had many great meals at Tutto Italia as well. Yes. So if you do,
I also have to tell you that Tutto Italia has changed hands a couple of times.
Yeah,
it used to be owned by a restaurant that is run in New York and a couple of different places, but it has changed hands. And I have to say, the last few times that we have been there, it has all been very, very good.
Yeah, for sure.
Last few times, I really can't complain about any of the food that we've ordered from there. It's always been fresh. It's always been good. Mm-hmm. Everything there now. But like I said, they have changed hands over the years.
Yeah, and this incident was years ago, but it was still really funny as we were sitting there.
We were hysterical. Yes.
And I remember too, so I ordered pasta with marinara sauce, and I remember the spaghetti was in very short pieces, and I was confused, and I realized this is for from the kids menu. When children order it, the pasta can't be too long. And because I'm an adult ordering this, I get the same thing that the children get, and I love that. So, but yeah, that was some of the shortest little spaghetti pieces I've ever eaten as an adult.
Yes, that was a funny night. I forgot about that.
It was funny, but it was very good. Night. Yeah, the food was still good, but just be wary, I guess, if you ever go on one of those big nights where they're just busting people in.
Any holiday in any restaurant in any city in anywhere in the world, any place, so, you take your chances on a holiday.
Yeah, no. So that's the Italy Pavilion. So yeah, this was really fun. I realized there was a lot of me just talking and
Amanda's in charge of all the research.
Yeah. Also, if we're being honest, this is the second time we recorded this podcast because the first time my cat was being too destructive around us, and we had to go put her upstairs and put her in my bedroom so that she couldn't come out
and come down.
Yeah, so we lost a little bit of commentary from my mom when I first told her about some of these things. So I apologize about that, but yeah, it was just becoming too much, but. Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the Italy Pavilion. Again, we're going to do deep dives into all 11 pavilions. So let us know which pavilion you want us to do next. So yeah, Italy is one of our favorites, which is kind of why I started with Italy. Also, I have been to Italy before, which is kind of why I want to start with Italy. So I think some of the other pavilions that we're not as familiar with, I feel like we'll learn a lot from. It'll be interesting,
right? We'll learn a lot.
For instance, especially from Germany. We never really walk into the Germany pavilion, if we're being very honest. So, but I think that will be quite interesting when we get to that one. But yeah, we'll definitely do them in just whatever order. We're not going in any specific order, just random fun order. Maybe I'll just flip a coin and pick the next one that way. But yeah, if there's one that you want us to do next, definitely let us know on Instagram. Our Instagram is Spaceship Earth Design, and that is our social media all across every single account is Spaceship Earth Design. We'll also have it linked in the description. And make sure you give us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're currently listening. You can listen to the Mother-Daughter Disney podcast on any platform that podcasts are available to. And if it is not available on your preferred podcast platform, definitely let me know because I'm still learning as we go. So I will add it to whatever podcast platform that we are able to. And yeah, let us know too if anything surprised you about the Italy Pavilion. I will have an Instagram post up on Spaceship Earth Design. So yeah, let us know in the comments of anything that surprised you. Again, any other details that maybe I left out or something. Again, the pavilions are so chock full of details, it's hard to really get to every single little detail. But this was really great to learn about Italy more and to spend some time in Epcot. So yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, thanks so much for listening, guys. Okay. Bye-bye. See you next time. Yeah, and as Mickey Mouse says, see you real soon.